Yo, it's SmallmouthCrush. Today's video is all about the treble hooks. What I do when I get a brand new bait right out of the package. Why do they come with insufficient treble hooks? I don't know. We're going to get into it. It's all coming up. Okay, so treble hooks, right? There's so many different choices out there. I tried to narrow it down, and I'm going to share with you guys some of the different types of hooks that I like to use depending on the specific bait that I'm putting that hook on. So a lot of times when you purchase a new bait, whether it be a crankbait or a walking bait, topwater bait, whatever the case may be, a lot of times they have inadequate hooks on them to begin with. And so what I've done is I've put together a small collection of round bends, triple grips, light wire treble hooks, different types of hooks that I can allocate to different types of baits that I might be throwing. And each one has a rhyme and a reason, and I'm going to try to cover that real thoroughly here for you guys so you can make sure you're casting the right bait with the right treble hook, and that's only going to help your hookup percentage. It really does make a difference. So for me, in order to keep things simple, there's really three major types of hooks that I carry, and then various sizes as well. Number one is going to be a very popular treble hook, which is what most baits come with, is a round bend. So I really like a round bend treble hook. I also like the triple grips, the Mustang life jackets. I'm not going to edit that out. The Mustad hooks, right? The triple grips, whether it be the short shanks. There's a variety of different ones. I use the short shanks quite a bit. And then, where are they? Here they are. The Gamakatsu finesse round bends. Short shank treble is what it's called. Tournament grade wire. Thank you very much, Aaron Martins. Right? If you guys haven't tried these out, these are incredible hooks. But I'm going to break it down why I use, when I use, and how I use. So where do we begin here? So I think we have to begin with why I would use which hook in certain situations, okay? That's real easy. So a round bend hook is mainly used when the fish are swiping at your bait. So when they're coming up, maybe it be a topwater bait or even a crankbait at certain times where you're not getting a good hook set. You're hooking them outside the mouth. Different cases like that where that fish is just slapping at the bait and those hooks are trying to grab them pretty much wherever they can. That's when that round bend is going to excel. And so oftentimes you're going to see my pop-Rs, chugging style topwater baits, and then of course your walking baits, your Sammys, your spooks, baits like that, your pencil baits. Those are all going to be a round bend hook. And then I should mention for the round bends, I really like size 2, 4, and 6. Those are primarily going to be the different sizes when it comes to the round bend that I carry with me, and then I also carry them in red. So there's a certain time when I like to use a red hook, and I'm going to explain that in the video as well. Now we also have to talk about the triple grips. I love these. I've been using the triple grips for years. I'm talking back when I used to fish for walleyes and fished in walleye tournaments. When we were trolling crankbaits, when these first came out on the market, I have no idea when that was. It had to have been, I'm guessing here, but early 2000s perhaps, was probably when they first came out. Now they weren't, they weren't like short shank. You had like a, I'm trying to find it. I wish I had the old school triple grips when they first came out. They looked totally nothing like they do today. However, they still, instead of having that round bend to them, they came back in, which allowed really good hook sets when that fish is inhaling that bait. When that fish is engulfing it and it's in their mouth, these triple grips are what you need to have on your crankbaits at all times. So I would troll a lot back in the day for walleyes. We would run different types of crankbaits, wally divers, thunder sticks, Rapalas, original, I'm trying to think of all the different baits. There was one that was killer. It was a ghost-colored wally diver. I bet that would work for bass. I don't even know if they still make those. Flicker shad, shad wraps, so all that stuff, right? And when we changed over and took out the factory hooks, the round bend hooks that came with it, and put the triple grips on, when you're trolling, oftentimes you're going at, you know, a mile or 2 miles an hour. That's probably not even accurate. It is accurate. It's been so long. I haven't pulled planer boards in years. But, of course, you know, you might have 40, 60, 80, 120 feet of line out. And when that fish hits, you also have your planer boards and you have the, you know, the boat pulling. So you would lose a lot of fish if they weren't hooked up right. So when we put the triple grips on it, we found out we had to use a pliers almost every time to get that hook out of the fish's mouth. And our fish, you know, losing fish because of the hook was pretty much eliminated. So we were able to make sure we put fish in the boat on a consistent basis just by changing those hooks. It was a huge difference. And so when I got into bass fishing and I started doing a lot of cranking, naturally, I just converted over, and I have the most confidence when I'm cranking and I know I have a triple grip on there. At least I feel that if I lose that fish, it's probably not because of the hooks. Real quickly here on the jerk baits, right? For the most part, I'm going to be changing out the factory hooks. Now, I do have a lot of Mega Bass jerk baits as well, and you know that they come with their own factory hook. That's a very unusual hook. The barb's on the outside. I don't seem to have a problem keeping fish hooked up with this scenario. And so for the Mega Bass, I just deal with it. I leave the factory hooks that comes with this bait right on them. I don't seem to have a problem. I found that if you start changing that, oftentimes it's going to affect how this bait performs underwater. And so it might not truly suspend or whatever the action that bait's supposed to be. A lot of times the hook is going to influence how that bait runs. So I try to, you know, if I need to replace these, I have the Mega Bass treble hooks in my jerkbait box. I'm able to replace those easy enough. So something like this Pointer 78, of course I took the factory hooks out. I put these Finesse treble hooks on. And I made sure, put it into an aquarium and seeing how this bait reacts, that it's not going to affect what this bait does. And I did a very long video, pretty in-depth, on the different jerk baits and how you can put some suspend strips on them and make sure, you know, if it's a slow sinking or a slow rise or a truly suspending jerk bait, you want to make sure you want to test that out, especially when you start changing hooks and doing this. You want to make sure that that bait's going to work how you expect it to work. Okay, real quickly, I want to just talk about why I use a red hook at times. I feel that it's not necessarily because the fish see that bait and they see the red hooks and they're thinking it's blood or a gill plate or something like that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the action, the way you're bringing that bait, so let's take a topwater for instance. Let's say we're throwing a super spook and I'm going to grab, I do. I have my retired super spook sitting right here. Let me grab that bait. Dang. Okay, here's what I mean about this. So as you can see, these are all round bends, and I replaced them all, but up front, I put a red hook on it, okay? What this one is, I really like, these are the Owner Stinger Trebles, ST36RD 2, 4, and 6. And I've been using them a lot this past year and been pretty impressed with them. They're extremely sharp. They pin the fish great. But what I like about having that red up there is I think at that last second, when they see that bait cruising on top of them and they're going to hit it, I think they key in right after they commit to that red hook. And, dang, I got hooked myself. Now, the whole point of this, of having them bite from the front, is that hopefully you can get the first 1 or 2 treble hooks into their mouth and maybe this other back hook or maybe the middle one might get them along the side, so you have them hooked good and you're not going to lose them. Because a lot of times with topwaters, you guys are probably aware, sometimes you have some missed opportunities with that bite. And so I feel that this just helps. I do it to all my topwaters. Even my pop bars will have a red hook in front as well. I have done it, as you can see here, on crankbaits, and I've experimented with that. I can't quite tell if it makes a difference when I'm cranking or not, but at times, just for the extra confidence, I don't think it can hurt. So if I am going to change them out and I got plenty of red hooks, I'm going to put a red hook on front. So for instance, this is a DT10, and all I did was I replaced it with a size 4 triple grip and a size 4 on the front, but this one's red. If it was a DT6, it would probably be a size 4 triple grip. I mean, you just kind of, I often keep the hook size about the same as the one that came factory. There's a few instances when you might want to upgrade, perhaps on some lipless crankbaits, things like that I've found, or even a few topwaters as well. But you just really want to experiment for yourself and see what right fit you can come up with. I mean, I've ran size 4 on a DT6 before, but I just seems a little bit too big for me. It works. I just, for confidence reasons, I just kind of go back to the normal hook size that it came with originally when I am replacing these. All right, so when we're talking about rattle traps, lipless crankbaits, I really, for the most part, will use triple grips on those. So for instance, here's a nice little beauty here. I'm going to be replacing the factory hooks with triple grips. This is probably a size 4 and then a size 6 on the back. And I'll also have, here's another exact color, and this one just has your standard round bends placed on them. So why would I have 2 different types of hooks? Well, the main reason, again, is sometimes they are just swiping at a lipless. They're not inhaling it. And so that's when your round bends are going to hopefully grab them on the outside. It's very hard when that fish is just swiping for these triple grips to get them on the outside. It can happen, but if that's really the case and the fish and the bite is that way, you're going to want to put a round bend on your rattle traps, on your lipless. But for the most part, I always start out with triple grips on them and then make adjustments throughout the day if the bite is a little bit off. I know I can go back to the round bends, and hopefully that'll help your hookup percentage. All right, so a lot of times, the night before a tournament, or if I know I'm going to be cranking a lot, I'll swap out a bunch of the hooks on the crankbaits that I know I'm going to use. Other times when I'm just fun fishing, or if I'm in an area that it's not a tournament, I'm just fishing, and maybe I'm getting hung up a lot and losing a lot of baits. Yeah, I'm not going to take the time then to switch those out. I mean, a little pack of triple grips, they're not cheap. So to save money, oftentimes, if I'm just out fun fishing, I'm not switching over those hooks. But if money's on the line and it's a tournament situation, you dang right, I'm going to be switching those out. So what I do is I carry all my hooks just in a small container like this. Everything's marked. So I'm going to have my triple grips in here. I'm going to have my red triple grips on the bottom, and then I'm going to have those owner round bends in 6'4" and size 2, and then also the red, and then I have some miscellaneous hooks in here. I'm going to put a bunch of these Finesse hooks, take them out of the package in different sizes, put them in this box so I have them. That way I know, hey, I'm getting low, I know when to reorder. I can tell right here I was getting low on red, so I made a purchase, got a few more of them in, so I'm ready to go, especially once, topwater season starts here. I'm going to be using these a lot on my topwater walking baits. Recently bought some bandits here, and this one here, this is a 200 series, and if we open her up, it has a somewhat of what you would call a triple grip hook on it. I'm not sure who makes this one. I don't think it's definitely not the KVD. But there is a little there is a point here where that hook comes back in and is designed to do exactly what these triple grips do. So I might run with this. I might experiment a little bit. These hooks seem pretty sharp. But what was so weird is just another Bandit here didn't come with them. So this one's just doesn't have the best hook. You know who's really notorious for like terrible hooks? The Bomber series of crankbaits for some reason. Those I don't trust at all. I try to change those as often as I can. But this Bandit here just came with some round bends, and of course they look, I mean, they're fairly decent. You know, if I wanted to use a round bend on here, I think I'd be happy with the factory hooks that it came with. But I'm going to be definitely putting a triple grip on here if I'm fishing the tournament. So really what you need is, you're going to need one of these, obviously a split ring pliers, and all you got to do is line it up in there, get that hook out, replace it. I mean, it's a pretty simple, I don't think I have to explain to you guys how to replace a hook. But that's how I do it. When I'm fishing with the right treble grip, treble hook, treble grip, what the next? I'm a lot more confident when I'm cranking. I love to crank. I put a lot of good fish in the boat cranking, and I feel so much better when I change over those hooks. So just to recap, you want the round bend hook when they're just slashing at the bait. You're going to want your triple grips when they're inhaling the bait. And then you're going to need some type of finesse round bend, especially on your jerk bait, something real ultra sharp and tacky. And I think these selections right here are probably the best way to go. I like to keep things simple. You know, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to be able to at least get some of your factory hooks upgraded just a little bit, have some more confidence when you're on the water, and hopefully help you put a few more crankbait fish in the boat this coming season. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Leave any comments and likes below, please. Share this on social media. Let's get the word out. It's SmallmouthCrush. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.